Hello everybody, and welcome back to the channel. KE4EST back here again, and today we're going to look at this. This is the AEA Morse machine, the version MM-3, or the model number that came out in 1989. So I think we need to go over to the bench behind me here and open it up and have a look at it and see what makes this thing tick. It was pretty neat piece of technology for 1989, and it comes in such a small package, and you can see here everything that it done. So let's go over here and have a look at it. Alright everybody, so here is a better view of the Morse machine, and like I said, this is the MM3 they call it. If you look on the back here, get that where you can see it, model MM3. They did have a couple previous models. But anyway, so I got this particular one here at Hamfest last year. But the backstory is, oh gosh, when was it? I guess about 93 or 94. I've mentioned him before in videos, Charlie. My friend Charlie. He bought him one of these, and I never had one back then, and I would go and mess with his and stuff and all that, and play around with it, and it's really neat. But he bought one of these, not because he's a real big CW man. He actually didn't really care for CW, but you had to, get it back then, or pass it back then if you wanted to advance on up into the levels, because they had the no-code tech. This is the time they had the no-code tech license. And let's see, he got his ticket in 93, and then 94, 95, something like that, he got his Tech Plus. They had Tech Plus back then. And then I forget, I'm trying to remember, and I really can't remember, I don't think he ever got his General. Tell you the truth, I don't think he ever did. He passed away in January of 2000, so I don't think it's been 20 years ago, or more than 20 years ago. I don't think he ever got his General, but he bought this to learn the code on, and I always thought it was neat back then, and I never put a lot of thought, to what's inside this thing, what makes it tick, until later years. And I was thinking, what is this thing? What's in here? It's got to be some kind of, is it just 7400 series chips doing some magic, or is it, no, it's got to have a microcontroller in it of some sort. So I'm going to guess it's probably got like an 8088 in there or something like that. Nowadays, the microcontrollers, and of course, what's the big one that everybody talks about and stuff is Arduino, or use Arduino IDE to program a lot of other different ones. I don't necessarily have to be Arduino. There's a lot of a lot out there on the market, but this here has got to have something like that in it. So what I want to do first is open this up and look in it, see if I can figure out what's inside of it and go through it, and then I've got the owner's manual downloaded. I've got a hard copy of it too, but I've got it downloaded on the computer, and we'll look at it on the computer and see, how right I was, and read about it and stuff. So the first thing we're going to do is open this thing up before we get into the specs and stuff. And I know this thing, from what I've been doing a little research, is still highly sought after. Even though a lot of stuff now is built into rigs, radios is built into them, or a lot of there was computer programs back then. This thing I think retailed for $139.99 or something like that in 93, 92, 93. Came out in 89. But let's look at the back of it. You got your power input here, and this serial in and out is just RS-232, if I remember right. So I remember Charlie having I don't know why they did it this way, if it was just You know, see everything here's round across here. It might have been easier for them where they had their stuff set up just to stamp a bunch of round holes in the steel, you know, when they was making the case. But the way they've got it set up, you don't have to have them both hooked up. You can have one, you know, just serial out. For instance, say you've got you're using serial for debugging a program you're writing on, say Arduino, and you want to get some output. You don't have to have the input as long as you got something on the output. You can see it on the screen and see what's going on. So, but anyway, so maybe that's what they was thinking. I don't know. If you don't want to have to use a DB9 connector or DB25, you know, DB25 would take up more room, but DB9 they could have fitted in there. So I don't know, but anyway, it's got throw in now RS-232 where you can program it from a computer, or you can have it outputting stuff. You know, after you get everything set up, you don't have to have it, you know, input. Of course, here's your push to talk, and I'm not sure what the differences in these are here. Then you got it's got a built-in speaker, so you've got phone jack, headphone jack here if you want to, you know, not disturb nobody, you know, if you're using it for practice or whatever. And this where it says paddle, I do know you can put a set of paddles in there, a bug, you can put a straight key, it don't matter, you can set it all up in the menu, or I'll show you in a minute how you set it up. And then the key plus and minus would be, you know, depending on what kind of radio you got, when you're going to key the radio and have this send out code or whatever. And like I said, I don't know why they're, you know, you get a PTT over here, you would think would just ground to transmit maybe or something, but why they need, you know, I don't know. And this remote memory, I do remember, you know, you see it at first with the little 5-pin DIN plug on it. You think it might be something else you set there beside it and plug in that, you know, add extra memory or something. But they didn't sell anything for this, or at least anything I was aware of. But what you can do is, I remember in the manual had a diagram that showed you what pin was what, you know, 1, 2, 3, and 4. On the front of the unit, you can go in here, set up, you know, different things. Like you want to have a QSO if you're doing a contest, say, or whatever, and you can have one saying, and your signal port's 5.9, one saying my name's Michael, one saying I live in Texas, you know, whatever, or your serial number if they want a serial number type thing or something, or maybe not serial number because I know the serial numbers have changed, but some of the contests will have a certain little string of, you know, text or something to show that you're using emergency power and you're on a mountaintop or whatever. But anyway, and it's got here, and you can push, you know, a button like beep beep, you know, it sends memory bank 1, go to A for memory bank A, then you can hit message 1, message 2, but it's kind of fiddly a little bit. I thought that was sticking for a minute, but it's not. I plug this in and then messed around with it a little bit, it does work. But if you want to have this just set out over here, you got your paddles sitting here, and have a little, you know, make it yourself a little, you can get it fancy or you don't have to be fancy, whatever you want to do, and have a little 4 push buttons, momentary push buttons set up, going back, and they all tie back to ground. You got 5 pins back there, one's ground, and 4 it's like IO pins, you know. And if one gets pressed, just tap number 1, you'll instantly send, you know, what you got in location 1. You hit 2, it's going to go to buffer number 2 and 3 and so forth. And you can just hit the button while you're, you know, got your paddles going, and you reach over and hit the button. So I know that's what that's for. And you got a speed control here on the front, and an on and off, and the volume, if the speaker or the headphones. And the way it's set up, I think there's a few other little things, maybe if you get the manual out. Most of it's right here. This one's kind of faded. I think you can probably see it pretty good though. Bring a little more light on it. But this tells you how to set it up if you want it in keyer mode, and then what you want to tone up or down. You know, that's the tone coming out of the speaker, of course. Your dot and dash ratios, load memory, keypad speed, all kinds of stuff you can do. You hit star 7 and it'll just key. If you want to use it to tune your radio up or whatever, I guess. And then star 7 again, and it'll unkey. And anyway, it goes over this stuff. Here's special features down here. It shows you what star A1. It's got a trainer mode, and it's got beacon mode and a QSO simulator. This was the big thing back then that I was like, nah, this thing. The more I thought about it, this thing can't. I mean, it could be done, and all discrete chips and transistors and whatever, but I think it would be a little bigger than this and a little heavier than this thing, especially for the time period, because they, didn't really have a lot of surface mount back then. So it's got to have some kind of thing in there. So I'm going to go for an 8088. I might be wrong, but we'll see. So you can see I've already taken out 3 screws. So let's just take this last one out. And every one of them is easy to take out. Like I said, I picked this up at a Hamfest last year, and for the guys who's really want one of these things bad, as I've been seeing on the internet, I got this really cheap. It was sitting there, no power supply or no accessories or anything, just sitting on a table like that, and I seen it, and because of the nostalgia of it, thinking, oh, my friend Charlie had one of those, and I always kind of wanted one of those, and I asked the guy, I said, what do you want for it? And I mean, it was dirt cheap, and I didn't even try to Jew him. I just pulled a few dollars out of my pocket and handed it to him. He said, and I'm pretty sure it works, and it does, but it'd be easy probably to repair anyway, unless it's real bad off or getting firmware or something like that. But let's open it up. Alright, well, that's soldered in, ain't it? Alright, so what do we got here? Well, let me put on my spectacles here so I can see a little better. Yeah, 7005, kind of figured that. So what else we got up in here? Alright, this here says Intel right on, as you can see. And it is, maybe I can do it like this. Careful here. Something here like this. Let me try that. Yeah. This is an Intel. What is this? 8031. Well, it's not an 8088, but okay. And there's a crystal right beside it, and I can't see. I just can't see right now what frequency is on that. And there's some good capacitors right there across the crystal, so that's definitely going to be the processor. I'm not familiar with 8031, but it says Intel on it. I get 1980, and it's 80 series, so it's most likely there's your processor. This here is going to be your firmware or your program or your software, however you want to look at it, on an EEPROM. There'll be a little window underneath this here. A lot easier to, if you have a small run of things, instead of having dedicated ROMs made, like an Ataris or Commodores and things like that did on their computers. This one here, you can peel that off and erase it and upgrade to newer software, or it's easier if you got a small run, like I say, a few hundred of these things you're making, or you can have a programmer in house and just throw the code on there, peel you a sticker off, stick it on it, and stick it in, get this thing ready to ship. Let me see, move it just a little bit there so you can see that MM-3 and copyright AEA. It's probably something to do with the software version, which version they was at. And this is a 3664 LC 3664N-12. So that would be static RAM. I don't know what that is now. With it being right next to this and next to this, you would think this here would be the RAM for the CPU. That's what I want to guess. And then let's move on up. I know I have to move the camera, but holding it up like this, I think everybody can read everything better, except for, of course, this here is upside down, but I think I can read upside down. CD74HCT 573E. So it's a 74573. Not familiar. Not familiar with what that is. And this up here is M5L 8155. I'm not familiar with that either. Something here's got to be, well, there's the battery. There's got to be battery backed up RAM, or something. One of these has got to be that. Maybe it is this one here. It's probably what that is, some kind of RAM chip then. There's the battery backup, which I'm sure is way dead by now. 74540, not familiar with that one. 7410, well, 74HCT10, but I'm skipping the other parts. 7410. That is a NAND gate, and that is a 3 input NAND gate, I believe. I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but I'm just looking at some of these transistors. There's basic 3904, 3904, 3904, 3904, 3906. That one's upside down, kind of hard to read. 3904. And these 930s, 2SC 930s maybe. Both the same thing there. But anyway, so there's the guts of it. So it's kind of what I suspected. Later in years, years ago, I didn't even really think about it. I thought it was really neat. I would think this thing will do it. It'll do a full QSO simulation with throwing in interference and static and making the signal go in and out and everything all in this box. No radio required. Just plug your paddles in and start calling CQ in QSO simulator mode, and it will come back to you. And it's got a bunch of different programmed in names and call signs and locations and radios and things that it would come back to you with, which is really neat. And you can adjust the speed and just how much QRM you want or whatever and stuff. And it's just all digitally simulated. Like you've all heard video games that have like little sounds that go psh, 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 like shooting some kind of laser gun or something. But if you take that sound, just turn it on, psh, and then leave it playing while you're playing another sound, the CW, it's going to make it a little harder. So so there's that. So let's look and see how close I was or how not close I was or whatever. Alright, so let me just back that out a little bit there. Let's go over here now to the computer and look at the manual for a few minutes here real quick before we end this video and kind of glance over some of it here. So if we go, there we go. Alright, so there's a picture of it. Okay, the Morse machine is a full-featured, high-performance keyer featuring 2 to 255 words per minute. And I started to stop, but programmable. And so it can do that. I remember us playing with it back then a little bit. You can, there's another guy had one, and if you have to program it for 255, and you're not going to be able to copy that fast. or send that fast, of course, on paddles or anything. But if you have it set to your computer and you type in something, tell it to send what you typed, over RS-232, and you have another Morse machine on the other side, the other guy's got one on his radio hooked up, and it'll be able to decode that fast, especially if you got a good clear signal. It'll decode it, and it's pretty neat, But I don't know why else, I guess just using it just for the fun of it. And you can see 255, so if you know anything about 8-bit logic and stuff, you know why the 255. But I guess that was kind of neat. It's something they can stick on there and say, hey, check this out. Or you can adjust the speed control on the front of it. Go back over here and look again. I don't want to break them wires. It's got this speed control here. That's a variable speed, and that will go from, I think, about 3 words a minute or something like that. No way, it says 2. It says 2 here, so 2 words a minute to 99 words a minute. 8,000 memory characters that can be stored into 20 memories. And you can upgrade the RAM chip. See page 4 if you want to have more memory. It's got all these different modes for beacons and trainer mode, QSO simulator, contest simulator. I forgot about that. Whether you're a novice or whether you're an expert or a novice, CWR, the Morse machine will help improve your code. So let's see here. Let's see about interference, installation, power paddles, straight keys, hooking up to the transmitter. See, it shows this keyed plus and minus, tells you about that. You notice there's nothing there about PTT. I'm sure it's off further in the book somewhere. Let's see, memory. It comes with 8 kilobytes of static RAM, 6264. Or what did I say I had? This one's got in it a, let's see what that is. That was a 3664. So maybe it's just a different brand or something, or a different whatever. I'm not real sure, but it says here 62. But anyway, you can upgrade that chip to 32K if you change that chip out, and it gives you a lot more memory. Low power operation, serial port. Now here's that diagram. I was going to say, I remember Charlie had something like this here. He had like some old patch cables he had, like audio patch cables for RCAs. He had them, took one and cut it in half and tied the shields together, and then tied one, wire was going up like this, the other wire was going up like that to I don't remember if he had a 25. I think he did have a DB25 at first anyway, to plug in the back of his computer. So let's see, quick reference. So it's pretty neat, this thing. That's why a lot of people want it. It's real accurate. It's real good at decoding code, even in bad conditions. It's got, like I said, the QSO simulator, and it's all kinds of neat stuff about it here. It tells more about it. And this, you can see up here, is 55 pages long, but let's kind of skim through some of it here. There's so much. You can download this on the internet. Let's just skim through really fast. It tells you about doing the contest simulator and how to score it and everything. Wow. Oh, it's got a vocabulary. It knows some Q signals. Oh, it knows all this. Okay. Sure, some of that's changed. Country list. Reset it. Restart it. Interesting uses for it. Let's see. I want to see. Let's just get way down here. I want to see if this thing's got schematics. What I want to know. Yeah, we do. Looky there. So that's 8031. Yeah. Oh, what did I just do? Okay. 11.0592. Okay. And yep. There, if you want to look at it, like I say, you can go download it. Where's the other half of it? Okay. Yeah, let's see. There's that HCT 573. Go back up here. That's coming off the digital lines over. Well, that's got to be some kind of a latch. Okay. Well, look at this 540 here. So that 540. See how that shows that symbol and shows it going all the lines coming off of this? That's a buffer. So the 540 is some sort of 8-bit buffer. And yep, there's your 3 input NAND gate there. See, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's neat. Let's see. There's the guy's name who did up the schematic. 4/13/1989. Okay, so pretty neat. So anyway, I just thought it'd be neat to go through this and look at it and talk about it, and I just think some of this stuff's really neat, you know. And some people, especially newer hams and stuff, I think don't really realize that some's, you know, got it in their head even nowadays. And I talk to them like everything old, like 20 years ago, was all tube stuff, and this stuff now is all new and computerized and SDR and all that. But mainly computers, you know, way back then, late 70s, 80s. I was programming in 1985, writing my own code and stuff on a Apple IIe, and then an Atari 800 XL. And I used to make all kinds of neat programs to hook up the radios and stuff. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video and whatever. And if anybody's interested and wants to, I'll make another little short video, maybe hooking this thing up and playing around with it and watching it work a little bit. But until the next video, this is Michael, KE4EST 73.